Hi everyone, I'm Lisa. Welcome back to Lisa's Stamp Studio and my series on fun fold cards. Today I'm going to teach you how to create a square easel card, and we're going to be using the stamp set called A Good Man. You'll be able to see how that opens up when we get over to the stamp table. If this is your first time visiting, I'd love to have you subscribe. Click that subscribe link down below, and next to it you'll find a bell icon. If you click that, you'll get notifications of when I'm live here on YouTube, as well as when I upload a new video. And if you don't already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and you are interested in the supplies that you see or others, I'd be happy to send you a complimentary copy of the catalog. Let's head over to the stamp table and let's get started on today's Square Easel Fun Fold card. Isn't this neat? Great card for the guys. The stamp set is so much fun to use. I don't know about you, but sometimes these are the cards I struggle with, are the more masculine themes, because I like feminine things more often. I love the greetings in here as well as the images. You'll be able to find that in the brand new Stampin' Up! Catalog. If you'd like that complimentary copy, head over to lisastampstudio.com and contact me. Let's start with the card base on this card. I've done the scoring ahead of time because I knew it was going to be very difficult for you to see it in the video, but I did make a template for you. You're going to cut the cardstock at 4 1/4 by 8 1/2, and then you're going to make the first score line at 4 1/4 and the second one at 6 1/2. You're also going to need an additional piece of cardstock to make that easel, and it's a 4 1/4 by 4 1/4 inch square. So I'll lay those out real quickly so that you can see them. I'm going to start by folding it in half. I'm going to use my bone folder. I like using that especially when I'm doing fun folds because you're going to need that crisp crease. Then we're going to take this other score line that we made and we're going to make what's called a mountain fold, which means it's going to come up, align my edges, and then go over it with my bone folder one more time. That's going to create the easel for the card. I've cut the extra 4 1/4 by 4 1/4 inch square here, and this is what we're going to be doing our work on first. I have a piece of thick Whisper White cardstock here solely because I've decided that I'm going to stamp my images and color them in using the Stampin' Blends alcohol-based markers. Because of that, we're going to be using water-based ink, which is the Memento Black. I've pulled out my image here, and I'm going to go ahead and ink that up. I'm going to stamp him as far to the lower left as I possibly can because I want to leave room for my birthday greeting. My birthday greeting comes from the Itty Bitty Birthdays stamp set. Lots of fun because you've got greetings for both the inside and the outside of your cards. And I'll ink that up in the Memento ink as well. And I'm going to stamp that here. Once that's finished, we're going to go ahead and color it in. I use the Stampin' Blends markers straight up with no shading on most of the image with the exception of the hat and the sand. So I'm going to go over the hat with you very quickly just so that you can see how I blended the colors. And then I have one that's already finished. I like to start with the lightest color first. So I'm beginning with the light Crumb Cake Stampin' Blends. And I'm going to use the smaller tip. They're designated here by the line simply because that's a real small area. I'll lay my color down by just making small circular motions. If you have white areas inside your image that have not been completely colored in, that's completely fine. It's going to provide highlights. I'm going to come over now to the dark, and I'm going to add some dark shading here along the outside. Oftentimes, the lines inside the stamp set that were created by the artist are going to give you a great indication on where the highlights are going to go. But if you're not sure and there's not definite lines, go ahead and just shade on one side. The secret to getting that good blended tone is to go back to the light, and then I'm going to use small circular motions only because that's a small area, and I'm going to blend those two shades together. Now I did the exact same thing down here at the bottom. I did use the wider brush tip for this area just to be able to provide more coverage more quickly. And here is the one I finished right before you joined me. I've cut one additional piece of Whisper White cardstock, and I'm going to stamp an additional. I'm coming back to my Memento Black ink pad, and I'm going to stamp that in the center. Our image now is going to get mounted on a layer of crumb cake cardstock. You'll see me using my silicone craft sheet. I absolutely love this when I'm using my adhesives, glue, or hot glue, simply because adhesive will not stick to it. This is going to keep my work surface sticky free. This image now will go here with a small layer of color all the way around the edges. And remember that 4 1/4 inch square? That's where this is going to get mounted as well. So I'll go ahead and flip that over and do the exact same thing by providing adhesive along the outside edges. Again, I'm leaving a small margin of color all the way around. I'm going to border this on a piece of crumb cake as well, just so that I have some correlation between the front and the back. It's also going to provide a really great stable base for the easel on this card. And then what I'll do is I'll adhere this down the center, leaving a small border at the top and the bottom. I've got another piece of Whisper White cardstock here. This is going to go on the inside of that easel. I'm going to add adhesive to the back side of this as well. This now is going to go on the inside of the easel. So that mountain fold or that crease is here at the top. And I'm leaving a small border of color around this as well. I've got a small piece of Designer Series paper here, and I've pulled this out from the Come Sail Away Designer Series paper stack. Lots of great patterns in there, especially for masculine images. One side has very much the theme of the nautical paper, and the other side is a little bit more generic, so you can use it on lots of different cards. I'll add adhesive to the back of this as well. I'm going to leave a little bit of that white cardstock showing at the very bottom. The easel is going to need a stopper, so we're going to put this up on dimensionals to create a little bit of elevation. So I'm going to flip that over, and because it's going to be the stopper for that top piece, I'm going to be a bit more generous with these dimensionals. And then we'll remove those paper backings, and this is going to go right here down the center of that designer paper strip. So you can see now this is going to rest here. We have that individual square that we cut, and now we're going to adhere it to the bottom of the easel. So you're going to place adhesive on this small area here. I'm going to go ahead and I'll open that up, and I'll place it here on my silicone craft sheet. And I'm going to be generous with this as well, because I know that this card is going to be open and closed quite a bit because it is a fun fold. Leaving the card open, remember this is the inside, I'm going to take my image and I'm going to line it up to mirror the bottom. The two pieces are the exact same width, so this should be easy for you to do, and then I'll press that in place. So now we have the easel for our card. I thought the area at the top was a little bit plain, so I decided to bring in some baker's twine. This is the Night of Navy and Sahara Sand baker's twine. It's part of that nautical suite, and I love it for these masculine cards as well. I'm going to wrap it around the top half of my card twice. On this side, I'm making the ends as even as I can. And then instead of making a bow, which I thought maybe would be a little bit too feminine, I opted to do what I call a single loop bow. So I'm going to come up underneath here, and I'm going to make a tie. I'm going to turn the cardstock sideways to make it easier for my hand. And then I'm going to attempt to make a bow, but instead of stopping with the two loops, we're going to pull this extra loop all the way through so that we have an additional raw end. And then you're going to pull tightly. That's going to give you just one loop here at the top. Now, if your loop is too big, go ahead and press on the knot or pinch it, and then you can adjust the raw ends to resize it. Once I'm happy with it, I'll come up here with my scissors and I'll trim away that excess twine. And there you have it, nice and simple for this square easel card. I want to give you a view of it from the side. Isn't that fun and a great masculine card? Here's the one we created together today, the one I created before you joined me. If you have enjoyed today's video, please give it a thumbs up here on YouTube. It makes them and I both very happy. I look forward to having you back with me again as I share another fun fold idea.